Thank you very much for joining this webinar, KNX Development Overview. So the first webinar about KNX Development is why developing KNX, why it's interesting from the investment point of view. Our second webinar is an actual overview of what can be developed in KNX. This is in order to offer a good understanding what can be developed in KNX, hence also the business opportunities behind. It also lists the resources that are required for each type of development or that are available for you. And it is also a way to get acquainted with the navigation of the KNX specifications. Lastly, we'll have a quick intro to KNX Internet of Things, which is also part of the KNX specifications, the new specifications that is becoming approved standard very soon. And we'll have an overview of what's that about. So our agenda, development options, KNX specifications, how to navigate the specifications to get a good understanding of how we can use them. KNX devices development approach. This is probably the most popular development in KNX is a certified KNX device. So we'll take a look into the development of KNX devices and the different approaches that you can follow, and the KNX Internet of Things. All right, so what can you develop in KNX? There are quite a few things. First of all, KNX devices. These are the well-known interoperable devices that work together in a network using different physical layers, and that use the KNX trademark. Then we have basic and system components that also complement the portfolio for these networks to operate. We have ETS apps. Also, ETS is the specific tool used by system integrators to set up and commission KNX installations. So ETS apps work embedded on this environment. ETS Inside server, and I also have some good news in regards to the ETS Inside, and visualization and BMS software. KNX devices. So like I said during the intro of this webinar, KNX devices is probably the most popular development that is requested from the KNX members. Currently, we have more than 8,000 certified devices in the market, which is, if I'm not mistaken, the largest portfolio of interoperable devices in the smart home and building market. These devices consist of various requirements that need to be certified towards the KNX trademark. It's also interesting that there are two types of certified devices. System mode are the KNX devices that require an ETS to be configured. So you need a computer with the ETS software to configure these devices. But there are also the easy mode devices, which is part of the specifications as well. And the easy mode devices don't require a computer for setting and configuration. In order to develop the KNX devices, you need a manufacturer tool. So this is specific software that KNX manufacturers obtain or can purchase as a members in order to develop the application program. Do you require certification for KNX devices? Obviously, yes. As we said, these devices bear the KNX trademark, the KNX certified logo. So that means that they've been through a certification process. KNX Association does not carry out the test. Actually, tests are done at the test labs. And there are three things to keep into consideration. We'll have a deeper look into this further in the presentation. But these three things are application program, KNX stack, and physical layer. Also, the specifications describe various physical layers that can be used, or communication media. Twisted pair, very popular in KNX, is a dedicated bus line. Radio frequency, which is currently being enhanced with new specifications coming. I'll also give you a few more hints about it. IP can be used as well, and traditionally, or for the last 10 years, it's been used for routing KNX telegrams over Ethernet, or also for client connectivity from a client working on the IP level, connecting to KNX installations via KNX IP interfaces or KNX IP routers. And power line, which is also part of the specifications, but is not the most popular option, but it is part of the specifications as well. Also, when you receive the presentation, all these resources, tools, and related, they are enabled hyperlinks, so you will be able to follow the rabbit hole to get more information about whatever is required. Basic and system components. We have quite a few cable manufacturers in KNX because most popular products are twisted pair for the time being. So a dedicated bus is required to connect the KNX devices. So certified cable is a very important component in an installation to ensure proper connectivity or communication between the KNX devices. Also, the bus connector, it is describing the specifications. You can see here in what volumes or chapters of the specifications you can find more information about. So that's also interesting for you when, if you are not very acquainted with the KNX specifications, you can follow these hints to go straight to the subject. More basic components, these are twisted pair related. We have power supplies, battery backup systems, chokes that are used to make non-certified power supplies to be compliant with KNX installations. So there is a variety of components that are also part of the KNX specifications and can be developed and manufactured by KNX members. Couplers, they are also very important to escalate KNX installations. KNX installations, according to the topology, can have several lines. Lines can create areas. Areas can be connected as well. So this is thanks to the line couplers, area couplers. So this also deserves a specific part in the KNX specifications. And it is normally part of the KNX portfolio of KNX members. And BCUs, bus coupler units. This is also something that it is has a specific chapter in the KNX specifications, and this is also an important component development that some companies, some KNX members opt to develop in order to conform their portfolio and how they offer the product to their customers. And BIMs, bus interface modules, which is also very interesting for development of KNX devices, since it offers a full KNX stack and a physical layer. So only the application program is required to create the KNX device. Don't worry, we'll have a look during the KNX device development approach. You will figure out how those components are part of the KNX development. ETS apps. Also, we had a bit of information during the introduction. ETS apps are or run over the ETS software. The ETS, which is vendor independent, is commercialized by the KNX Association, is the tool used by system integrators to set up and configure KNX installations. ETS apps run over the or embedded in the ETS, and they offer additional functionality or features that are not offered by ETS. So for instance, we have software to configure, or ETS apps to configure KNX installations in a more visual way. So since ETS follows a drag and drop of a specific KNX topology or building structure, but it doesn't have a visual environment for configuration. There are ETS apps that offer that specific visual configuration. So that's, for instance, something that can be done with an ETS app. Or there are also ETS apps that are specific for KNX devices, and they are the device configuration apps. So again, some devices are very complex, and sometimes the ETS app or the actual application program does not offer a very intuitive user interface. So thanks to ETS apps, device configuration apps, the KNX manufacturers can offer a easier interface for configuration. More things that you can develop in KNX: ETS Inside server device. This is rather new. The ETS Inside server has been in the market for a few years, 3 years if I'm not mistaken. The ETS Inside server is, or the ETS Inside is a specific software like the ETS, but in this case, it remains at the installation. So that means that the configuration tool to configure and set up the KNX installation remains at the actual installation. This has several advantages, like for instance, the information of the project remains in the installation. There's specific webinars about ETS Inside if you want to get to know more about it. So this again makes a new development solution, since KNX Association offers the software and the licensing, but KNX Association does not sell any hardware. So KNX manufacturers can put this ETS Inside server within a device and commercialize this device. That's the ETS Inside server. We have now three ETS Inside servers from 2 KNX manufacturers in the market. And this is also a business opportunity because obviously this is a component now of KNX installations, and the demand is picking up as well. So KNX manufacturers can offer ETS Inside server devices. Visualization and BMS software. This is also very popular in KNX. This is not certified. So this is also a question or a recurrent question that we get. Software, as we know, BMS software or visualization software for KNX installations is not certified. So it's not part of the KNX specifications within the certification scheme. Yet, it uses existing tools to offer the functionality. Falcon is probably the most popular one. The Falcon SDK guarantees the software access to the KNX bus via an application program interface for sending and receiving telegrams across the KNX network. So now that we've seen the spectrum of development options, it is good to get a bit of a understanding of the KNX specifications. This is also, like we say, it is the cornerstone of the KNX development. And sometimes it becomes, especially for newcomers, specifications become a bit of a tough bone to digest. Obviously, it's not a book that you read from the beginning to the end, but you need to understand how to navigate the specifications to find what you require for your development. There are specifications that are free, that they are publicly available via my KNX. And this is the latest public release, and anyone who's interested in KNX can download these specific specifications. They are good to start a research how to develop a KNX device, but we don't suggest that you use it for a commercial application, since it is missing the latest additions on the specifications. For instance, KNX Secure or the KNX IoT. KNX members have full access to all the specifications. So this is for your information. If you are not a KNX member, you obviously can download the specifications free of charge and start understanding them. It's also good to plan how to develop your own KNX stack, for instance. But to really start a development, then you need to use the latest version, which is available for KNX members. Volume 3, system specifications, is the most popular and the largest, probably. It is used as a reference for hardware and the software development. And here, for instance, you may find the data point types. Data point types is how data is shared between KNX devices. So even if they are from different manufacturers, and this is the key of the interoperability in KNX, even data at application level follows KNX specifications. This is the data point types. So this is how KNX devices can understand each other. For instance, you can use a thermostat from one manufacturer and a fan coil controller from another manufacturer, and you don't need to put any logic in between for them to understand a set point or a temperature value. That's thanks to the volume 3 of the KNX specifications. Volume 4, hardware specifications and test. This is very important to comply with the KNX certified design quality. So also, if you are, for instance, developing a KNX device, which obviously also has a hardware part, The volume 4 will give you the guidance to understand what is required towards the KNX certification. The volume 5 is a handbook about the certification and what procedures are put in place to obtain the KNX trademark. So this is a must to understand towards the obtaining the KNX trademark. Volume 6, profiles. This is also very important because in this vast ecosystem of specifications, there are quite a few combinations that are possible. So a profile is one allowed and minimal combination within those specifications and features. So you must choose a profile when you are gonna develop a KNX device based on the volume 6. Volume 7, applications and descriptions. This is application driven, as the name says, and it's very relevant, especially for lighting, shutters and blinds, and HVAC. Specifically, HVAC is one of the biggest contributors to this volume. You can see here the word functional block. The application model is described with functional blocks. In the volume 3, I mentioned the data point types. This data point types, it is how the data is constructed to be shared between KNX devices. Functional blocks is a collection of data point types. So what's the purpose of this? For instance, if we have a thermostat controller from one manufacturer, and we have a thermostat controller from another manufacturer, and a HVAC controller, like could be a fan coil, they might have interoperability in terms of the data they share, but they may use different data point types. So although interoperability is certified, they might not be able to actually share the minimum set of data that is required for the functionality. So that's the purpose of the functional blocks, to make sure that devices from different manufacturers offer a minimum set of data to function according to that application. And the volume 8, system conformance test, mostly guidelines for testing KNX devices. And volume 9, standardized components, device and test. These are the requirements for the and test for certification, a KNX cable and connectors. So when a manufacturer is interested in KNX cable certification, this is the volume they need to understand. And lastly, volume 10, application domain and specific standards. This is a very specific volume that contains, for instance, information about how requirements to support MBUS in KNX. MBUS is a specific standard about metering. So very specific, only if you require any of these 3 descriptions, you will end up navigating the volume 10. Okay, so what about the KNX devices is the biggest development right now. What is the development approach I can follow as a KNX manufacturer? It's very important to understand that there are 3 things, as we mentioned already, there are 3 things that you need to keep into consideration when you're going to certify a KNX device. There must be a certified physical layer, a certified KNX stack, and a certified application program. It sounds like very demanding, but this is the only way to ensure there is a full interoperability even at application level. So if KNX is well known, or the feature we can highlight is the interoperability is thanks to this certification of these components. So do you need to develop everything from scratch to get or to put a KNX device in the market? The answer is no. You can do everything from scratch. You are welcome to do so. But obviously, you require a good hardware and software development skills and workforce to achieve so. And the time to market will be longer than other approaches since you do everything from scratch and you need to certify everything. On the other hand, the cost per component will be the lowest. On the other side of the spectrum, we have the OEM, original equipment manufacturer. That means that you buy a fully certified device from another manufacturer and you rebrand with your own logo and company name. So this is the other side of the spectrum. On one hand, from scratch, you do everything. On the other hand, you get a fully certified KNX device and it's very quick. You could, from non-member to have an OEM certified product in the market, you can achieve this probably in 3-4 weeks. So you can become member, get your manufacturer code, and register the OEM device from the main provider and get your database for the ETS software, the application program with your brand. This can be done relatively quick. In between, there are various options that you can follow depending on how much you want to develop. So for instance, you could get just a physical layer and then you develop the KNX stack and the application program, or you could get a KNX stack license one from another KNX member and combine with a physical layer and you develop the application program. All these combinations are possible. You will see now the available resources in the market. All these combinations are possible. And I need to remark here that KNX Association does not sell any of these components. So KNX Association does not commercialize stacks or components. These are offered by other KNX members. And therefore, companies that want to develop KNX devices, they need to do their research. If they don't want to do everything from scratch, they need to check the available components and find the ones that suit their needs or requirements. There is a rich ecosystem of certified components and combinations according to what we just said, which is very good because it gives you a good spectrum and makes KNX competitive from the chip or electronics development point of view. You can see options just for physical layers, options for licensing KNX stacks or bus modules or individual components that give you physical layer and part of the KNX stack or a full KNX stack. But in this case, unless you go OEM with an existing product, you need to develop your application program. So this is the actual functionality of the product using the manufacturer tool. The RF is also growing, which is very good. We have more and more certified KNX RF devices. You can see there, and this is rather new, we have a radio frequency, which is 868 megahertz. Many manufacturers say that that's not possible, that frequency carrier is not possible to be utilized in the United States or Japan. The KNX specifications are open to other frequencies, and actually now it is under development, the KNX RF 4.R, which is for the 950 megahertz frequency band. So this means that the KNX RF is becoming richer and richer. Also IP, in this case, the physical layer is not a KNX specific, but it can be Ethernet or Wi-Fi. And there are specific KNX stacks to deal with this physical layer. So system components that give you physical layer and part of the stack. That's one of the options. Then we have other components that give you everything. So all you need to take care of the application program. It goes without saying that the more you got resolved, the more expensive will be the component, and the more expensive will be your final cost per product. And OEM. OEM makes sense in many occasions. For instance, KNX members, they want to offer a bigger portfolio of products, so they go for OEM of specific system components. That could be line couplers, or companies that specialize in software or in BMS or visualization software. They want to offer a full package to their customers with the connectivity to the KNX installation. So they may offer a KNX IP interface together with their software. And instead of developing themselves, they get an existing KNX IP interface. So the good thing, or the main takeaway we can get from this presentation, is that the combinations that are possible in KNX development are huge. And there are a lot of KNX OEM devices. You can also visit our website with the sponsor list of OEM devices in the market. All right, so we make it to the last point, KNX IoT. Even if you are involved in KNX, you may have been hearing KNX IoT here and there, but what is this? What is the actual implication of the KNX IoT in the development, in the specifications? There is currently an application note that is being voted, and sooner than later, I would say in the next weeks, months, should become approved standard. It is the first set of KNX IoT specifications. The first approach to KNX IoT is going to be the KNX IoT interface. So this is a server gateway that builds an API, which is standardized by the KNX specifications. So that means that any company on the IP side, IT companies that are not acquainted with KNX specifications, then know nothing about how a KNX telegram is constructed, by using RESTful web services, they can interact with the KNX installation. So there are several pieces that are required to achieve this. First, there is the information from the KNX project is exported to this KNX IoT interface. It uses a semantic dictionary, which is also in the specifications. This is important because it adds information to the system KNX project. And this is very important to make the information that can be found from the IT side of the development. And that this information is put together with the KNX project information in the KNX IoT interface, which offers this API. So for instance, a company that one example that is doing software for working efficiency to make buildings, to optimize buildings, offices. They could find rooms that are not occupied right now and they have the lights switched on. So this is just one piece of example. And they can inquire this to the KNX IoT interface via the API by means of RESTful web services. So long story short is the companies that develop the client to work with the API don't need to know anything about the KNX Telegram, which is the case right now with the KNX NetIP protocol. The KNX NetIP protocol is basically the KNX Telegram wrapped in an IP Telegram. So if you are creating, let's say, a software that works on the IP and that is using the KNX NetIP Telegram, you need to understand what information is constructed in that Telegram, and you need to know about group addresses and all this information that is contained in the Telegram, and that those IT companies don't want to know about or don't have the time to research. But definitely via this API, standardized API, they will be more keen on developing solutions, because now with this abstraction layer, they don't need to understand the KNX specific protocol. So this is the first step towards the KNX IoT specifications, and KNX members receive all this information, and as soon as they become approved standard, they can produce this KNX IoT interface. One example that from the business case point of view that we can see with that is enabled with the KNX IoT specifications are vertical solutions. So this is more popular in the IoT environment. A vertical solution is a full solution that gives an answer to a specific problem. That example about optimizing office buildings is working efficiency. It is one of them. There are plenty of them. Thanks to the rich ecosystem of KNX, of the existing certified devices, and now thanks to this KNX IoT interface, these vertical solutions can be built. You just need to select the devices that you require to perform the actions, HVAC actuators, lighting. You can use existing devices. You can develop your own ones. You can do OEM with existing devices. Then you need a KNX IoT interface, and then you develop your application client. So this is a nice way to wrap a vertical solution with KNX, where you are using KNX certified devices, ensure interoperability. There's a KNX IoT interface to create that bridge of information with the IT side, and then the API client, which is connecting to this IP IoT interface, and it is performing the logic visualization, user interface, user experience. So this is a vertical solution built with KNX IoT. More information will come as the specifications become approved standard, and this is going to definitely become a great enhancement in what we know in the KNX market, especially for KNX members and development. There is the next webinar in the series of webinars is OEM, specific for those interested in rebranding existing devices, OEM. And the previous webinar is also recorded, and you can watch it following the link. And that's all from my side. I hope you got a good overview of the KNX development, KNX specifications, and that you got excited about the KNX IoT specifications that are coming. So that you will see very nice novelties in the upcoming months.